Today, I have an inspiring conversation with Dr. Delshad Vaghari, who is a senior data scientist working in drug discovery and healthcare here in Cambridge. He shares how he started his career and how he came to work on world-scale projects developing treatments for people with dementia. He also shares how he and his team managed to turn a failed project into a successful one and introduce a treatment for people in the early stage of Alzheimer's. If you're planning to become a data scientist, or if you're already one trying to explore your next steps, this conversation is a powerful example of how passion and curiosity can lead to a meaningful career. Don't miss this conversation, and please don't forget to subscribe. Dr. Vaghari, thank you for joining me today, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for having me,
You are a senior data scientist focused on advancing AI and statistical models. And you had mentioned that one of your main interests is the intersection of AI and brain sciences. Can I ask what led you here? How did you end up here in your career?
Yeah. Actually, it's a funny story. When I decided to do my PhD, I wanted to do a PhD in machine learning and AI. So one of the core idea in AI is artificial neural networks, which got inspired by human brain and neurons. So at the beginning, I wanted to work on this kind of modeling systems, like getting some idea from human brain to develop new models. That's where I decided to study about brain. At the beginning, I thought maybe studying brain is very simple, so I can study one textbook or a few papers, so I can understand what about brain and I can implement what I want to do. But when I started, I realized brain is the most complex things in the world. So we don't have anything more complicated than brain. So I said, maybe I should try another way. So I met with one of my advisors and I asked him how I can learn about brain. And he said, one of the ways that you can learn about brain is to learn about one of the brain diseases. And that's why I ended up with studying Alzheimer disease, to actually learn about brain, to understand the brain, then implement it in AI. But I went in the other way around. I used AI to understand brain instead of learning from brain to make AI better.
Interesting.
At the beginning, yeah, that was the story.
Wow, I like the approach, how everybody goes to first completely learn about something and then trying to figure out maybe creating new ways of enhancing it. But you did it all the way around.
Yes.
That's actually very interesting. So that's how actually you ended up studying Alzheimer's so in depth and doing lots of research on
Yeah,
this.
during my PhD and my 2 years postdoc, yes, that was the topic that I worked mostly.
So can I ask how you use AI to understand the brain functions or the Alzheimer's disease?
For Alzheimer's disease, the important part is to detect small changes in the brain in very early stages. There is no treatment for Alzheimer. But in last 2 years, there are some successful experiments in pharma. But still, we cannot say that we have one successful treatment. And to make a drug successful for Alzheimer's, we need to find the change in earlier stages in the disease. And when we wanted to study brain and Alzheimer, we need to look at the brain from outside, right? We cannot do surgery. Actually, it's possible, but it's dangerous, right? So yeah, too risky. So what we are doing is we use neuroimaging techniques like MRI and EEG or other techniques like PET, CT scans, and we can capture these changes. But these changes cannot be visible by naked eye. So that's where we use AI. We bring an AI model to tell us which change happened in the brain over time or in a specific point of
time, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So, for example, do you need to study a specific patient during a long window of time to be able to detect these changes and then train the AI model to detect this?
Right, yes. So when a disease like Alzheimer developed, yes, for example, in the structural MRI, we can see the changes. We can see atrophy in brain. But if we have an MRI of a person in early stages, we cannot see any change. But that person, they may failed in some cognitive tests. So we know that they have some problem, but it is not obvious in the, for example, MRI scan. But there are some changes there. There are some changes there in the voxel level or in micro levels that those can be captured by AI models.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is such a step forward, isn't it? Has there been any successful diagnosis with these AI models, or is it still in the trial phase?
It is still, there are so many studies working on this field. Actually, AI in Alzheimer's disease is one of the hottest topics in neuroscience. We already had some successful models for detecting Alzheimer in early stages. One of them was actually the study that I worked on in my postdoctoral study, when we just, by using just an MRI scan and some simple cognitive scores, like you go to a clinicians, they ask you some simple questions, and they score you. So based on that simple score, which is cheap, and a single MRI scan, we can tell you for patients who are in early stages, we can say that they will be converted to Alzheimer, or they are okay and they will remain stable.
Wow. Yeah. That's so helpful for so many people, isn't it?
Yeah. We are developing a spin-off company from University of Cambridge for that model, and that it is supposed to help a lot of clinicians through the NHS. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing news. So you mentioned clinicians. What are some of the most influential stakeholders that you work with or collaborate with? Are they clinicians, statisticians, or some other stakeholders?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. In this kind of fields like neuroscience, brain is the most complicated thing in the world. So to study such a complicated thing, we need a great collaboration between people from different fields: engineers, clinicians, statisticians, AI experts, neuroscientists, psychologists. A lot of fields are involved in to study brain. So, but if I want to say about the main stakeholders, for sure they will be clinicians, because they are facing with patients in first hand, and they are usually those who collect the data, the real world data.
Have you had any challenges getting hold of data to be able to run your tests and train your models? Or is it something that is usually straightforward to obtain the data? I don't know if you'd be able to obtain it directly, or do you have another like third party?
Yeah. In different stages during my career, at the beginning of my PhD, I even used to collect data myself.
You did?
Yeah. But using small samples, I as a single person, how many data can I collect?
Yeah.
So it needs really collaboration. So during my PhD, we collected data from two different centers, one from Madrid and one from Cambridge. I know actually we also had some collaboration from Oxford University. So we collected the largest data set for study dementia or Alzheimer's disease using techniques like MRI and MEG. And we published the data for others because there was no such data set available.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are for some modalities, like for structural MRI, there are you can find a lot of open source data sets that you can use, but mostly from research. So even our data was research, for research. The data from research and data from clinics are slightly different. So during my PhD, we focused on the research data. We collected the largest available data, which is now available to share with other scientists. But in my postdoctoral training, we, as a University of Cambridge at that time, we were able to make some collaborations with clinicians from around the UK and also from Singapore, because we wanted to see if the model work for data from UK. Is it working for data from another continent? When you train a model, it should cover everyone in the world.
Right? Be as holistic as it can.
Yes.
Okay. And was it proven in that study?
In that study, in my postdoctoral training, in the AI model and research data, but we tested it on real world data for the first time. So we first tested it on some data from UK, and it was successful. Then we say, okay, let's try it on the other data from. That's why we found another collaborator from Singapore and test our model there using their data, and it was also successful. We ended up publishing a paper just for testing the model on real world data.
Let's flash back a little bit. How did you start your studies? I mean, what were the fields that you studied in your bachelor's, master's, and then led you to your doctoral and postdoctoral research? Was there a straight path, or was it a squiggly one trying to explore different things?
Yeah, I explored different things. Yeah, in my bachelor, I studied biomedical engineering. But even from that times, we had some courses about machine learning and artificial intelligence. At that time, artificial intelligence wasn't like now, it was very simple model, statistical model. Yeah. Even in my bachelor, I got interested in only courses related to artificial intelligence. in my master, I studied electrical engineering.
So different.
It's not very much different because we can categorize biomedical engineering as one of the branches for electrical engineering.
Okay.
Kind of. It depends on, we have different fields in biomedical engineering. One of them is bioelectrics.
All right.
Yeah. So the bioelectrics is very similar to electrical engineering. The biomechanic is like mechanical engineering, and biomaterial is like other fields of metallurgy.
I see. Okay.
What I studied was bioelectrics.
Okay.
So yeah, it was biomedical engineering, bioelectrics. But in my master time, I also got interested in processing signals. In electrical engineering, we look at voice, image, videos as signals. They are all signals need to be processed. Which then I realized we can use them for training AI models. There is a field, for example, machine vision, which image processing is the core part of that. And in my PhD, I studied machine learning. But as I mentioned earlier, because I got interested in neuroscience, so it's kind of a combination of both. To study machine learning, to help diagnose Alzheimer, that was the core idea for my thesis.
Now looking back, do you think that was the best route to where you are right now? Or would you have done something differently? Would you have studied something else? Knowing what you know right now, where you are right now, do you think studying something else would have affected this whole career path in a more influential way? Or are you completely satisfied with studying biomedical engineering and then electrical engineering and then machine learning?
I can say that it was really feasible at that time. The machine learning science at that time wasn't that much developed like when I was doing my PhD. It was a complete different world. In AI, every 2-3 years, there is now a completely revolution. So I really needed some gaps, and I couldn't do it at that time, to be honest. But now it's feasible. So I think for those who are interested now in AI or in brain sciences, they can do this much faster and more straightforward from bachelor. Then we can do a PhD in one of these fields.
So would you, for example, recommend studying exact majors that you mentioned, or would you propose a more straightforward way for someone that would like to end up working in drug discovery or in AI development in healthcare?
Yes. These are all broad fields of study. AI, it really depends on the interest, what you are really interested.
For example, in drug discovery, how would that
So in drug discovery, for example, we had a project with AstraZeneca. It was a study done by them named Amarance, but it was a failure. Billions of pounds, but they couldn't get the desirable results that they wanted. So we did with them was we said, okay, maybe we can use AI to see if in future, if we wanted to design such a study for drug discovery, maybe we can use AI to help you, for example, for patient stratification. The main reason for that failure was the patient that they selected for their trial, they weren't in the stage that need to be receive the drug.
Okay.
In Alzheimer, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important. If we want the drug to be effective, it is very important to receive it at the earliest stages. Right. And detecting that earliest stage is a very difficult task. That's why we used AI, and with help of AI, we can detect disease in the earliest stages. So we stratified the patients. We ended up with this conclusion that if we used at the beginning of that trial, if we used such an AI model that we developed at the time to stratify patients to go in the trial. Yeah. So based on what AI model told us, okay, not everyone should be included, only this part. So the drug was actually successful to those population that the model selected.
Right.
And one of the reasons was they were in the earlier stages comparing to others.
So what the model did was to actually choose a section of the sample pool,
yeah,
and guided us to let's try and only these people, and
yes.
That what made it successful.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. And was it because the sample pool was so large that it was nearly impossible for humans to choose and pick that sample?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, yeah, very scientific. We also showed that those that are not selected by the model, they are in the late stage of MCI or mild cognitive impairment.
So not feasible for them.
No,
They were
it's
considered.
not. No. That specific drug didn't work on them. It's and the successful ones, like there are two drugs, lecanemab and donanemab. They were both successful in earliest stages, one of the earliest stages. So, and it's very difficult to specify which stage. You know, this change happened over time, and our tools to measure that it's limited. All we can do is taking MRI scans or some functional imaging techniques, but they are not really that much accurate.
So a failed project turned out to be a successful one with
use of AI.
use of AI, and actually ended up granting us a drug that is actually beneficial and influential in the earliest stage of dementia, which works.
Yes. It worked on those people, yeah.
That's such great news.
Yeah.
And this whole thing happened because of that trained model.
Yes, exactly.
So what prompts you to take that failed project and implement that model of AI on it and say that, okay, let's try this one out.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. What prompts you? What was the whole idea behind it?
Yeah. So sometimes we can learn from failure, you know?
Absolutely.
So at that time, it was a lesson for everyone.
Yeah.
We wanted to say, okay, if one of your drugs didn't work, so maybe there is something wrong, not because of the drug. It might be something else.
Yeah, which turned out to be true in this case.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get them on board to restart the project and to reuse the data? I mean, to having spent billions of pounds on the project and then failing usually prompts people to shelf it and to, to put it aside and let's not talk about that failed project anymore. So was it hard to bring it back and kind of make everyone on board with the project?
You know, the project didn't restart.
Okay.
Based on the data that we had, we just tested it with our model. At the beginning, you know, it's hard to get someone's trust, you know, especially for these companies. But it was actually a great example of a collaboration between industry and university. And I'm really proud to be part of that project.
It's very inspiring. I meant to ask because I was really curious about the behavioral aspects of what you do, because you collaborate with so many people, and it's not just the research, but also the clinicians, the real life use of what you do, how you bring it to life. So there are so many stakeholders involved. So I meant to ask, and I'm glad that actually you mentioned the trust factor here, that what do you think are some of the, I'd say, soft skills that a data scientist in your field should acquire, or maybe to work on to be better at it? Is it negotiation? Is it building trust, collaboration? What is it? There was something, for example, in that project or any other project that you think that, yes, that really helped us move forward?
Actually, all of those are important. These tests are being done by different people. For example, to get the company's trust, so probably that was part of university's job as a data scientist. The most important skill probably is in such a multidisciplinary environment is to transfer or to kind of explain, better to say, your idea to people from different fields, right? And make them convinced about what you have done. So communication skills were actually very important. And explaining them in a very simple way, like talking to your grandma.
Yeah. Explain it like you're explaining to a 90-year-old grandma. Yeah.
That's very important. Actually, I always try to explain what I've done. My grandma.
Well, actually, you just did it right here, because I have absolutely no idea about dementia, but you just made it so simple.
So yeah, that was one of the ways that we can do AI for drug discovery. But if I want to make another example, currently I'm working in genetics in single cell data, in single cell world actually. So here what we have done, we use large language models, you know, models like chat, we are familiar with, like ChatGPT.
Of course.
So we train such models with cellular data.
Okay.
So each cell in the body can be expressed by a sequence of genes.
Right.
So it's like sentences in natural language. When we have a sentence, it's a sequence of words, right? But in the cellular world, we have sequence of genes. So, and these language models, they are eager to receive sequence data. So we train the models using this kind of data, and this makes us able to do perturbations, to for example, target a specific gene,
right,
and see how the model reacts. So this is another way of using AI in drug discoveries. Some drugs can only affect a specific gene. So by manipulating or perturbing that specific gene, we can see the effects of changing that gene in other cells or other genes.
So would that work when, for example, in the embryo stages, or for example, on adults too? Could we manipulate the genes of an adult using drug?
It is possible in both cases. We can use it, in adult and also in embryo stages. It depends on the problem that we are facing with.
Wow, there's like a universe of possibilities out there.
Yeah.
So can I ask what you're working on right now in the world of genetics?
I'm now currently working on designing foundation models, AI models that we can use them for aims like drug discovery, but in the cellular world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because the other night I was talking to one of your colleagues and he mentioned how we can train the AI models to predict if certain cells or certain behaviors will end up as certain diseases. I might be understanding this completely wrong. Please do tell me if I am. But to my understanding, that those models could help us detect which pattern of genes could lead to specific diseases, and then we could try the AI models to detect them and to kind of help us discover drugs to prevent them, to even help with, for example, let's say Down syndrome. We could prevent that completely.
Let me make an example.
Yeah.
So, for example, for skin, skin develops from embryonic until adult stages, right? So this is not related to disease, this example. So if you basically what we do without AI is if you wanted to find a gene that make the skin development during this time better. So one typical way of doing this is to go to the lab, perturb each gene, and we usually have 18K genes. So we can try all of them one by one, go to lab, see the effect on the later stages, grow them and see what will happen. But that will be very expensive and takes ages.
Yeah.
So it's not feasible, actually, to be honest, if you wanted to perturb 18,000 genes. But one may say, okay, we don't need to perturb all 80 genes. Maybe the important genes for such a task are these 100. I can say it's still expensive and it is still time consuming.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can train the model using this data that we have, data without any perturbation, the real data, without any modification, just the data. We have data from different stage of skin development. Yeah. Then the model learn how this development happening over time. Then we can start doing these perturbations using the model. That is what we call it in silico perturbation. So using this model, we change, for example, a specific gene or better to say, we perturb a gene to see what will happen. Instead of doing it in the wet lab, we can do it using AI.
Let's assume someone would like to start their career doing research in this area, working on larger scale projects as you have previously had. Are there any factors that they need to have in mind to be able to better perform or to maybe function better across different teams or large scale projects?
I would say there are some strategies that are very important to take, like project management strategies. For example, one of the things that I always do is being flexible. So sometimes you need to have a meeting with some collaborators from a different region. So you need to always be a bit flexible to make it possible for everyone to share their idea and have meetings together. Another technique that I usually use is risk management. And how? By very simple steps, like whenever, for example, I get really tired and I'm stressed out. So very simple step, like I go for a short walk. Yeah, I think maybe they look simple, but they really do magic. So risk management skills, they are very important to develop. Time management skills. And sometimes when you work on different projects and you have very limited time or you have 2 or 3 close deadlines. So another one is to be honest and open with your colleagues, with your collaborators, and you can have conversations with them to specify the priorities.
Flexible, being mindful of the mental load.
Yes,
Maybe.
yeah.
You mentioned the soft skills. Now, are there any technical skills that you would advise someone to go and develop in themselves for them to become a good data scientist in this field?
Yes, I would say programming. You know, these days I see many people say, "Oh, we don't need programming now. We have ChatGPT, which has explained to that. That gives you code." But and they are getting better and better and better such models, and we have much better models for coding only. But I would say the core of being a data scientist is to have a good programming skills. I think any scientist, not only data scientist, he should know statistics. Statistics is base of research to me. It opens new windows to your research. So I would say programming and statistics.
So, for programming, do you suggest or do you recommend any specific programming languages?
Of course, Python. Yeah, because Python is very easy to learn.
Great.
We have so many libraries in Python for AI.
It's been really great learning about your experience and your career path. For anyone that would like to start a career in healthcare and drug discovery, or maybe they're just on the verge of making the decision where to go and what field of study to take on, do you have any suggestions, recommendations, anything that would make it easier for them?
If you are really interested in this field, just try to carry on. Do it step by step, slowly, slowly. And especially for AI field, you really need to be enthusiastic in this field. So if you are not really interested or just think it's something that trending or then please don't go to this field. But if you are really interested in this field, because you know in AI it's changing, you need to keep yourself updated always, and that's mean you need to study a lot of papers, blogs, you know, watch YouTubes or reviews, go to conferences. You should really
So to be resilient, to be
yes.
adaptable, and flexible, that would make a
yes, exactly
good career in data science. Thank you so much, Delshad. It was very lovely learning about your projects, the whole range of research that you've done, which is so inspiring. Really great knowing all that. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Thank you.